Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to another episode of Wednesday Live Coffee Talk. I'm Michelle Quay. I'm a visibility coach where I help women to step into their true purpose and show up to the world, be confident, be courageous, and actually show up for your business. I think that is ultimately the goal behind why we do what we do, right? Because we have a dream, we have a purpose. So now is the time for you to show up and actually show up. I'm super excited because there's a couple of things that's coming up this week. Next week, I am launching another round of Brave Your Brand Challenge. Those of you who have participated in the past, you probably know it. It was called the Spotlight Challenge. Spotlight sounds kind of, very humble. So we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to call it the Brave Your Brand. We're going to go out there and we're going to show the world who we are and just be brave. All right, today I'm super excited because I have another amazing guest joining me, and this is my new friend and also a fellow coach who is showing up for herself, and she's been doing a lot of amazing things. So in a moment, you're going to meet her and you're going to hear her inspirational stories, and she is just this energetic powerhouse. So I can't wait to bring her onto the screen. But just to give you a little background about Melissa Byers is a mastery method certified coach. Melissa has a background in social work and concurrent disorder. Aside from her shiny title, Melissa's real teaching is attached to her openness to self-lead. From Melissa using her own life as her playground, she has begun to heal past wounds, which has allowed her to finally coming home to her again. I love the concept of coming home to ourselves. So I would love to bring her on and so that she can share her inspirational story with you. Hey, Melissa.
Hi, I'm so excited.
you are this it's not an overstatement to describe you as the energetic powerhouse.
I felt that. I was like, ooh, that was a whole body feel. Like that was a whole body yes. I felt all that. Thank you.
Yeah, every time I go into your group and I'm like watching you go live, you're just like, you're all there. And I truly enjoy watching you. Like, no kidding. Usually, a lot of time, I scroll through these live feed and it's kind of becoming an all me thing, right? All me too thing. And yours is very different. I go on live and I see you, I hear you talk, and it's just amazing. So yeah, you have so much to offer. So tell us about yourself.
Oh my goodness. Where do I start? Everyone always says that. They're like, where do I start? Because there's so many different parts of ourselves, right? So for me in my journey, I would say, especially when it came into transitioning into coaching, is that I started in social work. I know you kind of talked a little bit of that. And the reason why, and I'll move it back actually a little bit prior to that. So I'll create a journey. I always love to move people through a journey. I think that's beautiful. I do that in my programs as well. So for me, I went through a very heavy relationship. And I know a lot of women that I've connected with more recently have shared their stories and have opened up and just about the in-depths of it and how it is really just like made them feel and what it has done to them as a result in regards to their behavior and how they really go out in the world and how they act and react. So I started seeing that there was a need for that, especially when I was in the relationship myself, but I didn't see it. And I often say, if you don't see it, you can't change it. So for me, when I was in this toxic relationship, it happened for years. It was probably about, I would say, 6 to 7 years. And I was just in a roller coaster of emotions. And I participated in that as much as he did. So this just isn't a projection of him and him taking personal responsibility. I also want to take radical responsibility in the way that I showed up as a person. So it was probably, and I know I kind of shared this with you as well, when I ended up saying, you know what, enough is enough. And I feel in particular that there's a lot of moments in our life when we feel like we're ready to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And I found for me, as I was getting ready to get ready, that then there was a part of me that, and I call this the protector, that it was protecting me because I didn't know anything outside of this relationship. So if someone formulates this belief for you and you end up digesting it, you're going to believe it yourself. When someone tells you you're not worthy, you're not pretty, no one wants you, no one's going to love you like you do, and your support system's very small, you're going to believe that. Even if it's a misunderstanding, that's the reality that you're living into. Mm-hmm. So this was happening to me over and over again. So I take a step forward and then 10 steps back, 1 step forward, 10 steps back. And I remember this distinctly, this moment where I decided. I talk about deciding often. And I was in the parking lot and I looked down and I was receiving all of these text messages just saying like, I don't like you, you're not worthy, burr, 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 burr. And I remember that body feeling. I just didn't feel safe anymore. And ironically, he made me feel safe. And I remember looking down at, and he told me that he was seeing someone else. So he was ideally cheating on me. Mm-hmm. And I put the phone down and I just grabbed the steering wheel and I started driving back to my house. And at this time I had a 4-year-old with him. And I ended up walking into the house. My mom was there. She was watching my son. And I remember walking down the stairs and I just felt so I felt this like deep sadness. And I just remember my shoulders were down. I was looking down and I was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing's wrong. She's like, honey, what's wrong? I'm like, Mom, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. And my son was like, mommy. And all of a sudden tears started pouring down my face. And I said, Mom, you know what? Something isn't right now. I need to go in the room. And she's like, it's okay. I'll watch him. So I remember walking in the room and I sat down and I looked at the fireplace and I looked up and tears just started rolling down my face. And all of a sudden I felt this release. That was the moment that I decided that I was done. And I remember walking out of that room and I looked at my son and I went down on one knee and I looked at him and I said, let's do this, buddy. Let's do this. And then is when everything shifted for me. So I ended up leaving him. I left the relationship. I was done. But obviously there's a lot of healing that needed to be done. And at the moment I thought that I was good, that I can move on in life and just live life accordingly based on, right, our own beliefs, emotions, behaviors. But who was I? Like, who was I after this relationship? I had no idea who I was anymore. So I was walking around with the beliefs that I'm not good enough. I was walking around with beliefs I'm not pretty, that no one's going to love me. As a result, my emotions were, I was sad, I was angry, I was frustrated. And then my behavior was perpetuating all of that because all I was doing as a result was judging myself. Mm-hmm. And when you judge yourself, you're just perpetuating the problem. You're making things worse. So I remember I needed another release. That was my first release. My second release where I decided to transition into schooling. So I wanted to get an education and learn about the cycles of abuse. And I remember reading this on Google. I was like, cycles of abuse, what does that even mean? Because if you don't know, you don't know. That's a thing. So I ended up going to, I signed up for counseling. To obviously not go into counseling, which I needed at the time, I didn't see it, but I went in to learn about it. And I walked into Mohawk College and I went up to her and I said, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to sign up. I'm ready to go in. And she looks at me and she's like, didn't you get the call? And I said, no. And she goes, the course isn't available anymore. And I looked at her and I said, I don't care what you have on that paper. I am here for a reason and I am not leaving. Yeah. And she's like, okay. She ended up finding a course for me and it was concurrent disorder, which is mental health and substance use. And I ended up going that for a year. Then I transitioned into social work. I learned about the cycles of abuse. I started to feel good again. But then a lot of things started coming out, right? I talk about layers and layers and layers and layers, and they were slowly peeling back. And I always talk about an onion, that we're made up like an onion. You can slowly peel us back, and then all of a sudden we're triggered and we have this other experience. So I found for me when I ended up in the agency, is what I noticed is that was a lot of gaps that I couldn't fill on a micro level. Mm-hmm. And I just felt trapped. I really wanted to help women. I really saw that there was a need for healing, but I just felt like it was surface conversations. It wasn't really connecting to the body. We were talking about our beliefs and the misunderstanding what was beautiful, but for me, it's connecting to the body and really understanding the elements of it. So that's when I slowly started transitioning into life coaching. I saw this beautiful woman, you may know her, Alyssa Nobrega. She was, her energy, her education, I just felt called, and I ended up signing up to her Mastery Method certified course 2 years ago. So it has been an incredible journey. I know there's a lot more in between that I could share as well, but that's really how my life started into coaching. And it was just me and me, that there was more healing to be done on my own level. And I just really wanted to peel the onion back and learn and self-lead from a space of love and curiosity and exploration, and then really just help women, guide women in feeling secure, accepted, safety, like all those beautiful desires that we really need as human beings, but we kind of get lost along the way.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I don't even know where to begin. What really interesting is, a lot of time the starting point of everyone's journey, it almost sounds like it started when we're in a situation we find ourselves in the wrong relationship. Yeah. I say wrong because, there at some point you feel like this is not something that's in line with how you want to move forward, where the direction that you wanted to go. Something just doesn't work out right with it. It's a work relationship or an intimate relationship. There's some type of relationship where our interaction with other people start to bring up a lot of our personal value, our beliefs, the way that we are being. And I remember, as you're sharing the story, I remember what triggered me to start thinking about my own coaching journey was also in relationships. So I had multiple rejection, and after these rejection, I felt I was starting to question my worthiness. And it's that same feeling of, I don't believe I'm worthy enough. I don't believe I'm good enough, right? So there's a lot of attachment to the your self-worth by other people's approval. And it's so funny how, even though we're like in complete different parts of the world, but yet our story is like so similar. It's amazing.
Yeah. And I love that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So I was really curious about, how do you know, and you mentioned this in your story too, how do you know at what point it was time? Like, what was your I guess a guidepost to determine whether or not this is the right or wrong relationship?
I would say for me in particular, it was my values. I found that, and there was a lot of, so for me, I grew up with values. I didn't grow up with a religion per se. I grew up with values. And I found that the values that he held didn't necessarily align with mine. And I've known my whole life that I'm power. And I mean that in the way that I was brought to this earth to really shift and shake, like the old paradigm, to shift and shake it into transitioning into like just allowing women to see that they are worthy there. And I always talk about like the ego versus essence, right? The ego judges the ego, and the ego believes it's worthy, but the essence knows it's beyond worthy. And really just knowing that when women believe and know, like deep down internally, that they know they are worthy, they move mountains. Like I truly believe that. And it's not just like walking up a mountain by themselves and self-leading. I believe that they put their hand out and they grab other women along the way. And these are women who have worked on themselves, right? They've worked on projection work. They've worked on emotional mastery. They've worked on inner child healing. They worked on their nervous system. Like there's all different areas that they've worked on. It's not just one area. And that's why I always talk, like going back to the onion. Just when you think you've worked through other thing, it's like, oh yeah, now we got to visit that and talk about that. But that's the beauty about being a human being. And I talk about human, again, is the ego, and being is the essence. Is that those two parts of ourselves, when we really just understand both, like the ego and the essence, it really just allows us to peel back those layers and to learn, but not go in with judgment, not identify ourselves as anything, but know that we're just here because evolution over a lifetime, right? It's not about having it all together right here, right now. It's about knowing that there's things beyond you.
Oh, I know, this is so beautiful. I don't. You're just making me speechless, lady. Come on.
I get really passionate when I share. I love what I do so much. So I'm like, oh, yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, yeah, it makes all sense. And I love everything that you just shared about the essence. And no matter where we are, you know, I believe that, and I know you agree with me. It really comes down to who we are being, you know, whether it's in our life or in our business, it's the way of our being, the essence of who we are.
And that's difficult for people. And as you know, I talk a lot about healing. It's difficult for people to know their true essence until they start to work on those different parts of themselves. And I always talk about self-sabotage. Like, I know people are going to be like, what is she? Okay, I'm going to say something. People are not going to agree with me, but I don't believe in self-sabotage. I don't. I believe that there's protectors, and I talked about this in my masterclass. There's protectors that go in and they help you. So let's just say, and I'll give you an example, if I can share an example, that there was a woman that I coached in particular, just to give something tangible. And she was 230 pounds, and her goal was to release weight. So she did all the things, you know, we do all the things. We go out, we grocery shop, right? We purchase a personal trainer.
Tracking on apps.
Tracking, right? We do all the tangible things, like, because we decide and then we go for it. And then what happens, and as I talk about this, is the other protector, right? So there's two different protectors. I want to make this simple. So the other protectors, just say something happened to her in the past, right? Let's just say, and I'm going to be a little bit more extreme if that's okay. I know big T trauma and small T trauma. I don't talk about it, but I am trauma informed. Let's just say that she experienced abuse when she was younger, but she hasn't actually worked on it. She hasn't peeled back the layers. That is going to be the protector. So when she starts to release weight, she's going to have the belief subconsciously, that people are going to hurt her. So it's not that she's directly saying, I want to self-sabotage myself. It's the other part of her, which is the protector, not the saboteur. The protector is like, if you release weight, men are going to find you attractive. If you release weight, men are going to hurt you. And I see this often, especially when it comes to women, is that we consciously make a goal, right? There's something that we want to achieve. And then subconsciously, based on all the beliefs and the experiences, we stop ourselves. We don't intentionally self-sabotage. We intentionally protect ourselves because we are fight or flight, right? Like, I know it's different a lot more. Like, back in the day, it was really protecting our bodies and our lives. Now it's just like protecting ourselves from feeling judged or feeling seen or feeling heard. It's very different. But if we grew up like that, especially from when you were born to 7 and you didn't work on that, that's why I love inner child healing, then that will continue to perpetuate as you move on in your life and as you begin to evolve. And there's a lot of other examples, especially when it comes to money, and money's another one. Like, I want to make $5,000 or $10,000 a month. Well, sometimes we get that just because we see it on social media and it looks sexy, right? But like, why do you,
right? I honestly, I'm so sick and tired of seeing these 10K, 5K, and 100K. Like, people need to stop paying themselves.
I love that. I'm like, that's sexy. Okay, so why? And I often say that it's like, people talk about that, right? And we all have our own reasons for success and so on. And I'm not going to get deep into that. But if you have a goal of making $10,000, right? Consciously, I was like, I want to make $10,000. Obviously, it's deeper as to why we want to make $10,000, right? But if you start going for the goal and you set yourself up, you have all the systems, you're working on yourself. But if you really pull it back subconsciously, maybe you grew up with a family where they thought about money, where maybe your dad was a gambler. So you believe if you start making $10,000 a month that your husband is going to leave you, or it's going to cause chaos in your relationship, or maybe you may, I don't know if it's called demasculine. I don't know. I don't know what that word is, but there's different reasons, right? And that's why I always talk about, if you want to build an aligned business, like if you truly, deliberately, unapologetically want to build an aligned business, then it's so important that you heal those different parts of you, because they will begin to protect you your entire life. And it's not about compromising both parts, because they both lose, right? And you don't want to lose, or win, lose, or lose, win. It's really just about accepting both parts, not judging them, because I talk about that perpetuates the problem, but really just allowing yourself to, and there's a difference between compliance and acceptance, right? Compliance is saying that what they did to you, the behavior was okay. It's not that you're accepting the behavior, it's you're accepting and not judging yourself about it. You're not making it define who you are, and you're not making it mean something about you, right? Yeah. So I that's just why I don't believe in self-sabotage.
I love how you really simplify a lot of these terms for a lot of people, because I work with a lot of coaches who's ready to take their business online and being visible. And one of the things that always show up is the fear. And I love how you rephrase the fear as the protector. So when we face our fear, we go into that fight and flight mode, but it's rather than the sabotager, but it's actually the protector who's protecting us, because somewhere in the back of our back life or past life, we experience that trauma from someone was judging us or pointing the finger at us, and that creates a fear. But if we continue to move on without addressing it, it becomes a protector. Every time it shows up, it's going to come out and protect us.
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that you share about the money perspective. And it kind of reminds me of what Rachel Cruz was talking about in the money class. So there's 4 different money classes, and depending on how you grew up and the family the culture that you grew up, your perception to the money may be very different from someone else who grew up in a very safe and wealthy family where money is not even a thing. So it really goes back to a lot of healing, and how do we heal from the part that's stopping us from moving forward. So I'm really curious, and I know I can talk to you for like days and hours and day in, day night, which we have done. Like the first time we met, usually I have like a 15 minutes connection call. No, not with Melissa. Melissa and I were just talking for hours.
It's so true.
So I'm really curious, moving forward, what does your business look like?
I love that. Can I share one thing before I go into that quickly?
Of course.
I heard you say something, and I just want to give people a tangible tool, because I talked about the protector, and they're like, okay, so what do I do? Like, if this is what's happening in my life, what do I do? So I talk a lot about acceptance and forgiveness work, right? It's extremely powerful. I don't know a lot of countries that utilize this concept. But when I talk about acceptance, it's about meeting what is here now. And I can hear myself. Okay. So acceptance is important, right? It's not like we're judging it. It's that we're accepting what's here now. So what I usually do with my clients often is, and I obviously have to go through a coaching experience to really see, but what I usually do at the end is I really just allow themselves to not judge themselves and give themselves compassion and self-forgiveness. So what I do is, this is the exercise I use if your audience wants to use it. It's I forgive, and this is from Alyssa Nobrega, this isn't mine. She taught us, I forgive myself for the misunderstanding, or I forgive myself for believing ... And then you fill in the blank. And then you say, my truth is, like, what is your truth? I forgive myself for believing that money's going to hurt me. I forgive myself in believing that I have to be skinny in order to attract men. I forgive myself for the misunderstanding that I have to be successful in order to be seen. My truth is, I don't need to be seen. My truth is money doesn't make me happy. It's what I do as a result, and then money comes. So I just wanted to give your audience that tangible example, because they're like, what? Like, what do I do now? That's cool. So what's next? But you asked me a question about my business. Can you repeat that? I apologize.
Yeah. So moving forward, and I love your tool. I know my audience is gonna love it. So moving forward, tell me more about your business. What do you have going on?
Yeah. So I'm new to business. Like I'm still figuring it out. Like I don't think that you ever got it together. And I talk a lot about pivoting. It's like, oh, that doesn't. So I often do this. I'm like, what's work every? I do this with my clients as well. Every first, second, third, fourth quarter, I'm like, okay, what's working in my business? What's not working in my business? Mm-hmm. Right? Where am I making money? Where am I not making money? Where is my energy going? Where is it not going? So I do a lot of questions, and I sit down and I really self-reflect and move through it, because that's where you're going to really understand, hey, moving forward, I can take this out. Maybe I can hire here, because I just hired a virtual assistant, because energetically, I only work 14, maybe 16 hours a week, and I nurture the needs of my children in the day. So if I'm going to dive into work, I'm going to do what fills at me and fuels me. So my virtual assistant can take on those tasks that drain me, and then I can really show up in my business, in my vision, in my values, and feel fulfilled. So for me in my business right now, I'm just figuring it out. There's nothing in particular that I have. I do follow the business model when it comes to coaching, but I would say right now I do have my one-to-one clients, which are incredible. So I have a system that I use for that. Mm-hmm. And then I just launched my very first healing program.
Ooh,
so
congratulations.
So again, and this is what I believe in. Any coach watching this right now, pivot with the needs of those in your program. What I do is I create a program, I would say 75%. And then as I'm moving through it and I understand the needs of my clients, then I start to transition. So I'm going to pivot within my programs, because if I have 6 different modules, which I have, and then I'm seeing a need maybe in module 3, which is inner healing, if I see something, I may change module 4. Right? So I even said to them, I said, if you're signing on to this, I just want to let you know, I'm going to pivot accordingly to your needs. So I do have about 75% done. So I have the tools, I have the layout. I'm not putting pressure on myself. I just believe that the most important thing when it comes to being a coach is really just guiding them and changing the behavior. Because consciously, if we create a goal and we're aware of it, 5% change the beliefs. But if the behavior is 95%, that's the subconscious. If you start changing the behavior, everything will change. So for me and my programs and my containers, the most important thing for me is their needs, their wants, and if they're actually taking action. Mm-hmm. That's what's most important for me. So my one-to-one, my program, I'll share it right now. I'm putting together a retreat for Hawaii for next year.
Ooh, count me in. I'm going to Hawaii. I want to go to Hawaii. Yeah.
So I'm so excited. So I'm going to create probably about a 5-day experience. The woman, she's incredible. She's in the same program with me, with Alyssa, and she owns the house. So her and I had a deep conversation, and she's like, I really believe you should be here. And I'm like, I do too. So I just ended up just signing up right away. I'm like, here's my deposit. I don't know who's going to be in it right now. I'm just going to trust, because my whole life I've tried to control so much, and it never got me anywhere. I felt tension, I felt contraction, and then it wasn't really the desired results, my desired results. So I just thought, you know what, I'm going to trust whatever's happened, it's going to happen. And I truly believe that it's going to be a lesson or a blessing. So Hawaii it is. No idea what it looks like. You're coming with me, but I'm sure it's going to be an incredible experience either way.
I'm coming with you. I'm coming with you right now.
Yeah.
I mean, so this is I haven't talked about this a whole lot because it's still in the process of planning. So I'm actually planning a retreat for the women's in my book club. I've been wanting to take them somewhere, and a lot of them also belong to another speaker club that I go to. So I wanted to be able to combine the two of them and bring a whole bunch of women out, and we're gonna get spa, we're gonna get some webinar, but most importantly, we're gonna go out there and enjoy ourselves.
Okay, I felt that. I was like, when you were talking about it, I was envisioning myself there in the experience. I'm very visionary. Wow, that's incredible.
Yep. And you're coming with me.
I'm coming with you. I'm coming with you. Yeah, let me know the details. I'm coming with you for sure.
Yep. Yeah. So I have one last question before I let you go.
Yeah.
What is your definition of bravery?
That's a good question. I believe personal power. I truly believe that. I believe taking radical responsibility for your thoughts, your emotions, and your behavior, and doing things that scare you, showing up no matter what. And I'm a perfect example of bravery. This morning I had a conversation with you, and I'll be very, very transparent here, it was chaos in here this morning. Like, I'm running around with my child. He's going through my jewelry. He's doing all the things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is chaos. And I thought, it's funny how the fear, the one part of you is like, oh my gosh, how are you going to show up today? Are you going to be able to serve, right? Because I'm all about over serving and just providing value. And the other side of me is like, what's going on, Melissa? It's okay. This is your life. You can do this. You go back and forth. But I think bravery is showing up no matter what, standing in your personal power and making big and bold moves. And you know what? It's going to be chaos, and you're going to learn from it. But I would say for me in my life, I have always, always, always shown up, even in the midst of uncertainty.
Oh, so beautiful. Showing up, making big, bold move. Such a great definition of bravery. Melissa, I can really go on talking to you forever and ever, but I do have to let you go. Tell us, before we let you go, where can people find you?
Yeah, I love this. So right now on Instagram, my IG is Melissa, MELISSA.K.Byers. And then my Facebook is Melissa Byers as well. I do have a private community. I just started about, 4 or 5 months ago. So if you really feel called to my energy and you want to learn more, then I just invite you to join me and all the other beautiful women that are a part of it as well.
What's the name of your group?
Good question. Women who lead themselves first. I'm going to change that, but for now, I'm going to keep that for the next few weeks. But women who lead themselves first.
Oh, all right, ladies. This is where you can find her. Did I spell that right? Women who lead themselves first.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
That's where you can find her. That's where you can get hold of her. So just go to the search bar on Facebook and type that in, and you'll be able to locate her group. And Kristen said, thanks for this lovely moment in the morning. I am so very much appreciated.
Oh, I appreciate you too. We both do. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It just felt so good. Felt really good. Thank you.
You're making a lot of things happening. And I know there's going to be so many women who's out there who can benefit from working with you, just hearing from you. And yeah, I truly believe, and I love the way that you described it, how women who have healed themselves will grab those and take them with them.
And I believe that. And I always say self-leading and then being able to be self-led.
Yes. Yes. Powerful. All right, my lady, I'm going to put you to the backstage while I wrap this show up. Mwah.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. That was another episode of this Wednesday Live Coffee Talk. So don't forget, I am launching the Brave Your Brand Challenge next week. If you like and enjoy hearing from Melissa and you have a really amazing story that you would like to tell, show up and start making big, bold moves and join the Brave Your Brand Challenge, because in the challenge, we're going to get you and give you the framework on how you can tell a powerful and compelling story. So Join me next week for another episode of Wednesday Live Coffee Talk, where I can bring you a lot of inspiration on love, courage, and connection. All right. See everybody next week. Bye. Adios.